We are in this for the long haul. This is for our family, for our health, for our work, because we all want to work in something that makes a difference, that we want to feel fulfilled. We want to understand that we do have options. We do have options. So, I just deal with so many people that feel like that they don't have any options, that they don't have any options for getting out of debt, for becoming the better person, for really focusing in on their lives and what they have to offer people. What do you have to offer? What is it that you have that nobody else around you has or knows about, that you can touch people in your area, on YouTube, throughout the country? It doesn't matter. What is it that you're doing to make a difference? What is your focus? Yes. So, welcome everyone. I want to have a short conversation here with you about the 3 steps that I feel are so important to the success that you are going to have with your finances. Okay. I'm going to work a couple of problems out here on the board, but first I wanted to review what do you need to be doing while you are setting up your financial strategy? What is it that's going to make a difference in your life? I believe it was Jim Rohn that said, for most people, when their heart stops beating, it's a mere formality. That's pretty sad, and that's deep, that you're living a dead life and you're wanting to come up out of that dead life, but you feel stuck. I've been there. I know what it feels like. And it's easy to fall into the dead zone if you're not prepared for it and you're not sure how to stop that from happening. Most people sorry. Most people tiptoe through life safely to get to death. Did you just hear what I said? They tiptoe through life safely to get to death. So if you're feeling like that, you're being really careful and you're sticking right in the box where they tell you to stay, especially with your finances. And you hear about something like the velocity channels that are out there, but then you're kind of like, well, I'm afraid, because what if? Uh, you know, what if they cut the limits on my credit card? What if they cut the limits on my HELOC? Um, what if I get in worse debt than I'm in? The what ifs could go and go and go and go, right? We want to stop that. So I have things that are very important to me when it comes to how did I climb out of the debt hole? How did I pull out of that by myself? I didn't have any financial advisors around me here. I wasn't like getting, one-on-one coaching with, okay, this is what you need to do. No, it was a desire to get out of debt. So my 3 steps were, and I'm going to take this from the Bible. I'm not a Bible scholar, but I do know that I have studied that you ask, what is it that you need? Ask for it. Ask and you shall receive. Know what you want. Write it down. I have told you, and I have a paper here somewhere where I wrote down what I wanted VANNtastic to look like. So let me see if I have it. Pretty sure I have it here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, so in February of 2023, I was sitting at my office desk working, and I thought, what is it that I want? What is it that I want? So I wrote it down on this piece of paper, just notebook paper. And I dated it February the 28th of 2023. I wrote down, I am helping thousands of people to become financially and emotionally free while I'm making a six-figure income doing it. Now, was that unrealistic for me at the time? Yes, but I believed I could do it. I believed that I could do it. I believed that I had something that people need, something that would help them to find peace, make their lives better. And so I wrote it down what I wanted to do. And that's exactly what came to me by the end of February 2023. The first VANNtastic video was released, and the rest is history. Okay? I'm telling you this because you can do it too. And I want to give you the steps of what you need to be doing in your life right now to pull yourself up, whatever level you're at. You may be at your pinnacle. I am, but I'm still growing. The idea is that you don't stop. You don't stop growing. Because when we first start, it's about getting enough income so that, we can breathe, so that we can stop the paycheck to paycheck, right? Wrong. Not all of us. I was already into velocity banking for several years before I decided to start VANNtastic. Okay? So the point is that you have to sit down and, we're talking about Earl Nightingale here. He talked about sitting down every morning, getting a pen and a piece of paper and write down your thoughts. Write down what it is on your mind. Clear your mind and ask yourself, what do I want? You would not believe how many people do not sit down and think. They don't sit down and think for just a minute about what is it that I want? What is it I want out of my life? So I am asking you guys to take the time to sit down and think. If you have children, pick a time before they get up of a morning or after they go to bed. Okay? I do both. And my husband even he's early to bed, early to rise. I'm late to bed and still kind of early to rise. But the thing is that is my time of a morning. I have about 2 hours that I get myself together, that I figure out what I'm going to do with my day, that I have my Bible time, that I have my study time, because I'm still trying to figure out who I am and where I want to go. So everybody needs to be thinking, what is it that I want? Okay? So I am going to flip this. Thank you for reminding me, TikTok. So, 3 steps to success. Ask, know what you want, and ask for it. Seek, study you. Study who you are, not just your problem. If finances is your problem, all of that's going to work out. But find out who you are. Are you happy where you're at? If you're not, why aren't you? What would it take to get you to a peaceful time in your life? What is it that you need to be working on? I am going to tell you that for several years before VANNtastic, I was preparing for this and didn't even realize it. But when I would get up and get ready and go to the office every morning, I was dressed to impress, and there was nobody even there. You're talking 2 people. So it wasn't like it was a busy office where you saw a bunch of people. But the point is that you are faking it till you make it. And I know that sounds so like stupid, but you are literally playing the part, the role that you want before you ever get there. And so, what is that? What is it? How would you be dressing right now if you were in that position that you want? How would you be acting right now? Um, how is your kindness factor? Are you kind? Do you do a good handshake when you do meet people? Do they feel excited that you walked into the room? You know that your aura around you, people can tell if you're approachable or not. They can tell if you're a happy person or not. But if you are just getting through each and every day, like we all have done, and you may be doing right now, how can you put a zip in your day? How can you put a pep in your step? Oh my gosh, am I rhyming again? The point is look into yourself, study yourself, and see what about you would like to change. And get busy, because you can do it. That's what's so amazing about all this. You can study your problems, study out what is going on in your finances. What do you feel like is causing the issue? Do you need to make more money every month? We obviously have more month than money, or we wouldn't be watching the channel. But what can you do to work out the issues that you have with your finances? Do you need a line of credit? Do you need to work on your credit score? What is it that you need to do with your problem? And this could be relational. Maybe you're having problems with family. Uh, there's all kinds of things that could be going on that you need to be working on. You need to be figuring that out. But see, if you're unclear and you're in a fog, because maybe you recently had a life event that has just really rocked your world, and you really feel stuck, or you just feel broke. Maybe you feel attacked because you feel like everyone around you is just harassing you. Maybe you went through a divorce. There's just so many things that could be going on with each and every one of you. I have the problems too. But you have to stay focused, you have to stay motivated, and you have to keep moving. You don't just lay down, okay? When we went through the October conference that we just had in Orlando, it was exciting. It was new. I had never done that before. It was stressful. I mean, it was just stressful in every way, and I haven't been a fan of flying in airplanes. So I was not only concerned about the conference, how it was going to go, if everybody got the room, if everybody got fed, what the gifts were going to look like, the giveaways, but the flight down, I was a nervous wreck about flying. So I had so many things on my plate that when we got back from the Orlando conference, even though I rated it a 100% success and can't wait to do it again, I had to take a breath, literally had to lay down a minute and think, okay, success, God carried us all the way through that with his favor. Wonderful. Where do I go from here? And when you come out of those pinnacles, reaching heights you never thought were possible, then you're on the other side. It takes a lot out of you and you have to breathe. Maybe you're in that situation right now, but maybe you're just like the everyday American that's just trying to figure out how to get through one day at a time without going nuts, without it all falling apart. Well, I'm here to tell you that if you keep walking through any situation, you're going to come out on the other side. You just have to keep walking. And I know that I have found that these things are the best things you can do when you're in that season of winter where everything feels dead, you have no motivation, you're just getting through the day. I have found that if you'll keep studying, you'll look for things, on YouTube that just, encourage you a little bit. We don't have to be running 100 miles an hour all day, every day. It's okay to take a step back, breathe a minute, and then jump into whatever it is that you need to jump into. But if you have had a major life event, whether that be a death, a divorce, whatever, you have to take a step back. And there is nothing wrong with that. You have to breathe a minute because your soul has been damaged. Those are major things that just rip you. And it may take a couple of years to grow out of that hurt, the pain, whatever it is. And I don't even care if you weren't hurt. If you wanted to walk away from that marriage, if you were excited to get out of that, and at first it was a breath of fresh air, but then you realize, okay, I've got through that. Now I feel like I'm numb. I feel like I'm in a fog. I feel like that I can't even make decisions right now. Those are all completely normal for what you're going through. And the point is that you allow yourself to have a minute to step back and cry about it. But just breathe. Do something to give yourself a minute. Because things in life hurt. Life is not easy. But you can get through it. And when you come through that fog and you're on the other side, you'll feel that excitement come back. And your life is going to be better than it ever has been before. You have to believe in that. So I want you to write down, just like I wrote in the paper I just showed you, write down what it is that you are going to be writing to yourself on the day that you get there. Write it as if it's already happened. Bob Proctor used to say, write down, I am so happy and grateful now that, and what is that? What is that? That you're going to reach, that you're going to have fulfillment, you're going to feel at peace and successful. Okay, so write it down and date it. Date it. Is it going to be, July the 30th? Is it going to be November the 1st? Or is it going to be December 31st, 2025? Date what it is. And if you need $10,000 of additional income, then write that down. When your mind is thinking and you're saying, I have this happen by this date, then your mind's going to start looking for those things. That is just a known fact. Like, for example, if you go by a white Porsche, and because you never see a white Porsche, well, guess what? You're going to start seeing white Porsches sticking out in the neighborhood, in your city, right? If you buy a red Chevrolet, and nobody has this fingernail polish red, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing the red Chevrolets. Why? Because your mind is seeking what you're looking at. So notice what you're noticing. Yes, and this is it. Notice what you're noticing. Your thoughts equal actions equal results. So if your results are not what you want them to be right now, and you're wanting your results up here, then you're going to have to raise your thought life up here. You're going to have to raise your thoughts to where you want your results, and then your actions will follow. Okay? I just feel like that you need to really analyze what's going on the inside of you, why things are happening, who you are, who you want to become. And then you're working out, you're setting up these strategies for your finances. You're setting up what your work is going to look like in just a few months. Where do you want to work? Are you done with the work that you're in and you've had it? And you've got to get away from that office, those people, whatever. You hate that job, then sit down and write down what it is that you really want to see happen in your life. What is that dream job that you would absolutely love to have? We can do this. And if I hadn't done this through the years, I would say this is a bunch of jibber jabber. This doesn't work. Well, it does work. And I am telling you it works because I've done it. And I want you to be encouraged that you can do it too. Okay? So I have the book, and I've showed this to you before. It works. If you want a guideline of something to go by, this book will do it. It gives you the steps. It's called It Works, the famous little red book that makes your dreams come true. All it's going to do is give you the guideline that I just kind of went through here, telling you, write it down. Write down the 5 priorities that you have in your life that you would like to have happen in your life. Write down those 5 things. Then read that to yourself in the morning and the evening. And you're going to notice that as the days go by, that your list, your priorities change a little bit. So renumber them to what is priority. What would you like to see happen first, second, third, fourth, and fifth? What's that going to look like in your life when it happens? Then the next day, read your list again. Read it in the morning and in the evening. And watch these things unfold in your life. And get excited about it. Start looking for the answers. Sometimes I'll literally be standing in a grocery line looking around because I am noticing what I'm noticing. Does that make sense? Because there are things that give you ideas that you never thought of before. There are people that walk into your life that you're like, wait a minute, they work in the area that I'm talking about going into? That's pretty convenient. You'll have people start talking about things that you've been thinking about. But you have to set your goals. You have to know what it is that you want and then start taking steps towards that. Now, when I first heard that, you got to start taking steps, I'm thinking, I don't want to go to college. And to be certain things in the US, you have to go to college. Well, I don't want to go to the university. I don't want to do that today. When I left high school, I was so freaking happy I couldn't stand it, and life began on graduation day. But some people like that. Some people want to sit in a classroom for 4 years, for 8 years, for 10 years, whatever. Have at it. Just saying, that's not my thing. My thing was I want to move into action. So everything I've ever done required a certificate. A certificate, you take a test. You might have to study a little bit, and that's okay. But you're not just sitting month after month, year after year, paying for college. I'm not a fan of that. If you want to do that, do it. Just saying, that's not my cup of tea. But I am saying that you do need to write down your goals, write down what it is that you want to see happen, and you have to make it happen. And wow, people do not want to hear that. Oh, they're like, that is bull. You cannot make it happen. Yes, you can. And once you get in your mind what you want to see happen, you will make it happen. And that can be good or bad, so be careful with that. But you can make anything you want happen. And I believe that with everything in me. So here is what we're going to be talking about today. I have a lot of people talking about the mortgage. I hear that every few minutes. People do not understand the mortgage. What is the big deal with the mortgage? That's what we were taught to use, right? We were taught to use the mortgage. So I'm making my payments. So what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is they set those up for you on purpose. They set the mortgage up so that you will make those payments every month. And if you're into making payments, then I'm proud of you, but I am not. I am into getting out of debt. And when you watch the videos, every single video nearly is going to talk about using the line of credit. Okay, now I worked with a person right before I jumped on here, and they could not use a line of credit because they cannot get a line of credit. So when we have that happen, we go to Money Max because Money Max can make it happen. They were also in a negative cash flow. Money Max can help you with the cash flow. Okay, I'm going to put the Money Max webinar in here because it's getting ready to start. And anybody that wants to jump over to the Money Max webinar, please go do it at 8 p.m. Eastern Time or 7 p.m. Central Time. So I don't know what you're in, but this is the Money Max webinar, and I want you to go if you need it. So it's in the YouTube chat. Like I said, that's a direct line to get in to their webinar that they're going to be starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 5 p.m. Pacific. So jump over there if you need to. But I'm going to tell you, Money Max is the fastest way to get out of debt. There is no way around that. It's an interest eliminator. We can eliminate some interest with the line of credit. We can eliminate a lot of interest with the line of credit, but the Money Max takes that interest down to, they tell me, within 2%. So if you're paying 100% on a mortgage right now, which is 5%, then the Money Max can bring that way down. Now most of your income is going to actually work down the debt. Okay, and you're not just paying interest. We want to stop throwing away our money in the interest. If we stop throwing away the money to the interest, guess what? We're now going to be paying down the principal amounts because that's what's stealing your money is the interest. Oh my goodness. This person was paying so much in interest, it was just sad. And I'm talking $3,000 to $4,000 a month in interest. So what would happen if he had the $3,000 to $4,000 that he was throwing away in interest? What if that was going on to his debt every month? Exactly, it's going to pay off, right? So the point is to get really serious about what strategy you're using to get rid of the debt. Whether that be the Money Max or whether that be a line of credit, just do something, take action. I have people tell me all the time, they'll come into a one-on-one coaching session and they'll say, hey, by the way, I've been watching the channel for 2 years. And I'm like, you've been watching the channel for 2 years and you never have started? That's crazy. We don't want to do that. We want to get started. We want to get out of debt. And so we're going to talk just a minute about the loan and that amortization schedule. If you don't know what one is, look it up. You're going to be amazed at how it's set up. It's a genius idea to take your money. Genius. I'm not mad at these people that created this stuff. I call them genius because they figured out a way to make people give them most of their paycheck and happy to do it. Oh boy, you mean I get that big home and I only have to pay $2,000 a month? Wow, bless you for giving me this loan. Don't tell me you haven't done it. I've done it too. I've been excited when I got approved for a loan, and I'm like, oh, wow, the Lord must have worked that one out for me. Thank you so much. And in the meanwhile, they're walking all the way to the bank laughing. Or maybe they're laughing all the way to the bank. Is that what it is? Okay. So if you have a mortgage payment, and let's say it is $2,000, they set these schedules up so that you're going to be paying $2,000 per month until you die. Well, basically, it's a 30-year, right? So depending on the age that you get one, you're going to be paying this for 30 years in most cases. So when you think about a 5% interest rate, which that is way low to what banks are charging right now, but let's talk about this 5% on a mortgage. If I told you that this first payment, and we could probably run some numbers, I could probably come up with something here that's going to be an actual, let's see. So if we can pull up $2,000 payment, let's just see what that looks like at 5%. And then I will be able to show you exact amounts of what's happening here. Okay, so according to the amortization schedule, you're talking about a 30-year mortgage. Yeah, okay. $2,000 a month, 5% interest rate. That would be a loan of $372,563. So the loan amount would be, you write it down, $372,563. $372,563 financed. Okay, at 5% interest for 30 years. Okay, so when we pull up the amortization schedule and we look at it, it's going to show us that we have, now hold on, because this is the painful part of, we're going to be ripping off the Band-Aid, because we're going to see what exactly they're doing with this mortgage at 5%. Remember, the going rate right now is 7%, right? So that means that out of a $2,000 payment, you have $447.65 going to what? Going to what? Principal, also known as your loan amount that you have to pay back, the amount you financed. So $447.65 out of $2,000 is going to your home. Well, where's the remainder of the money going? Well, you named it. It's going to interest at $1,552.32. Interest only. Okay. Now, like that wasn't painful enough, right? Did that hurt? Because some of you guys are in 7% mortgages and you maybe just stroked out when I said that, right? So we're not done because I want you all to see and understand what exactly is happening with your monthly payments. Because I had a guy come to me. He was saying that he wanted to upgrade his motorcycle, and I was telling you all the other day on the live. He wanted to upgrade his motorcycle, and he had been paying on his current motorcycle for 2 years. And he went to trade in the bike. He brought the papers where he had been paying on the motorcycle, and you know, uh, they had to order the payoff or whatever. And when he got the payoff, he said, "What in the world? I have been paying. I thought that I almost have the bike paid off, but I still owe almost all that I borrowed in the first place." Well, I mean, guess what? He's been paying interest the whole time. So that's exactly what's happening here. Is we're going to look at this schedule some more. And pull your own up. Don't take my word for it. Pull up the amortization schedule. I use Brett Whistler. Pull it up and just see if these numbers don't come out to what I'm showing you each payment is. All right, so here's payment number 1. Now we're going to do payment number 2. Oh boy, we get a couple of more dollars, it looks like. So the principal, $449.52. So looky there. We got $447.65 the month before. Let's do the math. 449.52 and then 447.65. $1.87. $1.87 has been applied now, okay? On top of what the first principal payment was. What is interest only? Well, it is $1,550.48. Okay, so like, how are y'all feeling about this so far? You've made 2 payments to the bank totaling $4,000, and $3,102 is all that has been going to your interest. All of this. So out of your $4,000, $3,102 and 83 cents has been going to interest only, while you had less than $1,000 applied to what you actually owed on the amount you financed. So $897.17 is all that you paid in principal, right? So what does that make your balance after your second payment of $2,000? You're at 371,000. Are you reading this? $371,666. So, yeah, less than $1,000 out of 4,000 has gone to what you actually bought. So what does that mean? If we kept running this schedule down, we're paying 2,000. Let's see what month 3 looks like. Month 3, $451.39 is principal. And then we have how much in interest? $1,548.61. Okay, so we're gaining about $1.87 or so every month. And we're going down and we're trucking. What happens? What happens when you get into about year 4? Is it, I mean, let's look at see what year 4 is. So in your 48th month, you've been making these $2,000 payments. Okay. So in your 48th month, and let's act like we've, been paying all this in month 30 here, and now we're in month 48. Okay, so we've been paying for 4 years. Let's see what month 48 looks like. Month 48, we have, hold on, because this is going to make you sick, $544.37. Really? Wait, that's just $100 more a month that's being applied to our principal after making payments for 4 years? What's the principal? 48, 1455. So $1,455 and some change is going to the interest still. So I'm sorry, but is this not $100, almost $200 a month? Does that make sense? That it's adding? No, what did I say? 100? No, not a month. No. This is $1.87 additional amounts that's going to the principal, while the rest goes to the interest. So this is month 48. What's going to happen in month 48 around the 4th year? Well, they're going to send you refinance papers. Because see, in the 48th month, you have paid $23,732.26 to your principal. Okay, this is to the amount you owe right here, meaning that your balance in the 48th month is $348,830.97. Okay, so this is, you paid this much over 48 months onto your principal, meaning that now, woohoo, yay, woohoo, yay. 4 years of payments at $2,000 each. Oh boy. Now you're at $348,830. How much interest did you pay for 48 months? Do you really want to see this number? $72,267.74. This was interest only. Interest only. So, does that not make you sick at your stomach? What could you have done with $72,000 in a 48-month period besides thrown it away to a bank? What could you have done besides this? Now, this is all fun and dandy, and we're 4 years down the road, and we realize, holy crap, my principal is not coming down at all. I have $23,000 in equity after making payments for 4 years. 48 times 2,000 is $96,000 you have paid out in 48 months, and you have $23,732. That's it. That's what you've paid on your big mortgage, and you wonder why it's taking you 30 years? But wait, it gets better. So let's talk about this paper that you're going to get in the mail or an email that's going to say, you have been so good with your mortgage payments. You have made everyone on time. We're so proud of you. We now are going to give you a little break, and we're going to refinance this loan for you. Yes, we are. We're going to give you $20,000 of your equity, and we're going to cut your interest rate 0.25%, or let's just say they cut it 1 whole percent. Not going to happen, but let's just pretend. Okay. So let's pretend you're in your 48th month. You've paid $96,000 out on this baby. You're going to refinance it because they made you an offer to give you $20,000 of your equity and cut your percent down to 4%. Okay, so let's just see what happens. So here we go. So we're going to go and we're going to erase this. Now you got to remember that we've already paid $72,000 in interest. So I'm going to write that up here. So 72,267 was interest only for 48 months. Now we're going to take our amortization schedule and we're going to take it to a 4%. So now hold on. We have to remember the 96,000. Let me do all of the math just like it should be done. 96,000 minus 72,267.74 means we paid that 23,000. Let me just write this down. 23,732.26. So this was what we made in interest pay. In principal payments towards this. So the 372,563, and let's subtract this out because we paid that much off of this balance. 372,563. So that means that we now have a balance of 348,000. 830.74. Okay, so this is the amount that's going to be refinanced, right? Because they're going to give us $20,000 in equity. Okay, so we're going to have the 348,000 that was the balance that we ended this 48 months at. We're going to add 20,000 because they're giving us $20,000 of our equity. So the new refinance amount is going to be $368,830 at a new low 4% interest rate. Okay, so let's do the math. We're going to do 368,830. Now there's something that I didn't add in here, and I'm not going to add it because it's going to be their charge, whichever bank you use, but you're going to have a charge for refinancing this mortgage, right? They're going to fee you to death, okay? Because you get to sign all those papers again. The fees are going to be included in your loan amount more than likely. So the point being that I'm not adding fees. I'm just going to go with this total right here because Lord only knows what they'll charge. Okay. So 368,830 is going to be our loan amount at 4%. And that's going to make our new payment for 30 years, $1,760.85. Okay, so this is our new loan amount. So I'm going to write this down. 368,830 is our new finance amount. We're at 4% now because they were so nice to give us 4% for 30 years. Okay, so let's start all over with our schedule here. Now this I'm going to leave up here because this shows the interest that we paid. All of this other stuff is gone. We got 20,000 in our pocket. So we're going to go ahead and erase all of this off and start over with our schedule. All right, let's see what we got going on now. So our new payment is $1,760.85. So 1,760, I'm just going to leave the pennies out. So we're paying 1,760. And let's talk about our first payment. Where does it go? Well, our amortization schedule tells us that we have $531 in principal. So this is the actual amount that goes onto our balance. So 531. And then our interest payment is $1,229 and some change. Okay, so this is the interest only. All right, let's go to month 2. $1,760. 533.19 goes to our principal amount. And then we're going to pay interest of $1,227 and some change. Do you realize what just happened here? Do you realize that you had already paid $72,000 plus in interest only out of $96,000 in payments that you made? And you have been reset to month 1, and you are doing it again. So all of this, $96,000 that you paid in a 4-year period, has been reset, and they are sucking the interest out of you again and starting all over. So what happens when you're going down the road and you're coming up to month 48 again? If you're still in that same house, they're going to send you refinance papers again. Okay? So you need to understand how the loan that you have is working. The loan that you have is full of interest. So let's try something new. Let's try something new. And go with me here. I'm going to go back to the 5% because that's where we paid the $96,000 and only got 20,000 actually out of it, 23,000 I think it was. So if we're back to the 5%, and hang with me here, okay? Because this goes a little deeper than we want to go sometimes, but let's just imagine that we decided, okay, I am not going to refinance this time. I'm stuck here in this 4%. I'm not going to do that again. I did it up here. I'm not doing it here. So should we leave it at the 4% and just show it right here for what? Let's do that. Let's just show it for what it is. So imagine had the 20,000, they already made the mistake. They already refinanced. They have $20,000 sitting in their bank because they took it out of the equity, as that was the favor. And now they're stuck over here with this new loan. What would happen if they decided to maybe get a line of credit for 20,000? Now remember, they already have the 20 that they took out, the cash out, right? The refi here. I'm trying to put it in somehow that you can understand that we took the 20,000 and we don't use our cash. We use the bank. We leverage the bank. But let's just imagine that 20,000 was put back into this principal amount for a minute. Let's just run those numbers first. So 368, 830 is the balance, and we took the 20,000 refi they gave us. We re-signed the papers, and we put the 20,000 right back into our property. Let's see what happens. So we're at 348, 830. This was the payment in. What did that do? What did that do? Let's just go look. I may pull up the amortization schedule so you all can see, so that you don't think that I am just throwing you a bunch of bull. So let me share my screen so that you guys can see what I am looking at here. Okay, you're all about to see it here. Patience, patience. Okay, so I am sharing the amortization schedule now. All right, so you're seeing this principal amount here going. If you look, the balance over here is $368,298, right? Is that what we have? 368. Oh no, that's after your first payment. I'm sorry. Let me go back up here. So we're doing 368, 830 for our principal amount. The interest rate is 4% at 360 payments, which is 30 years, and the payment is $1,760.85. Now, if you look right here, it shows the 368, 830 borrowed, your regular payment amount, your interest only payment. Remember what I told you? Is $1,229. Total repaid $633,000, almost $634,000. How much of that's going to be interest? $265,000 is going to be interest only. Okay, so we're not concerned with that, even though if you want to go over here to the right, you'll see the 4% annual interest rate. And if you come down here, it says total interest paid as percentage of principal, 71.869%. So was that 4%? Was that 4%? Or was that 71.869%? 72% nearly? Is that why this interest was so high that we paid out in the first 4 years? Really? Really? Oh my gosh. 72, 267. Yep, it sure looks like it is about 75% interest. So out of the 96,000 in your first 48 months of that 5%, you were at 72,267 in interest only. That's why this right here, which it tells you, they have to tell you this now. If you look on your closing documents of your mortgage contract that you signed, it's going to show you this, but it's going to say your actual interest volume is here, 71.869. Yeah, so that 4%, really? Really? Okay. So now we're going to go back to where we were talking. That's why I pulled up the amortization schedule. Is your balance minus 20,000 that you put that previous equity they gave you into the home, back into the home. So you're at 348, 830. So go down your schedule here to 348, 830. We've got 348, 5. We'll go there. That skipped the amortization schedule 36 months. So 3 years, just because you took and put that payment right back into your mortgage. You saved 3 years. How much interest did you save in the 3 years? $43,100. Just because you did the $20,000 onto the principal, skipping this amortization schedule that I was showing you here. You're literally jumping it, okay? Now, I know what you guys are saying because I used to say it, but I need that 20,000. I have a car that I need to pay off. I have personal loans I need to pay off. I have credit cards I need to pay off. I can't afford to take the 20,000 and put it back into my mortgage. I need it. Okay? So this is how you fix this without even hardly feeling it. Without even hardly feeling it. So the 36 months was going to cost you $43,100 in interest only, okay? The 20,000 chunk you can do will save you this, okay? That's a lot of money. What would you do with $43,000 in 36 months? Money says that you have more to do with your money than to throw it away in interest to the bank. So let's rewrite our numbers again, because I think we're about done with this 72% interest here we've been dealing with. And let's talk about what it looks like if you wanted to use a line of credit to chunk down a mortgage like this. So imagine that you had $400,000 of value in your home, and you were able to get a $20,000 line of credit to chunk onto your home. Okay, so that would be called a HELOC. A HELOC is a home equity line of credit. And let's say they give you $20,000 in a line of credit on this HELOC. So, and let's imagine that you make $5,000 a month and you pay out $4,000 in expenses, like all of your expenses, living, gas, food, all that fun stuff. So with these lines of credit, they're revolving, and you've heard me talk about this. You can revolve it, meaning your income can go in, your expenses can come out. What happens with a loan? What happens with that amortization schedule? Are you able to pay a payment and then turn around and pull it right back out again? I don't think so. So the loan is closed end. That means that once your $2,000 goes in, then you cannot ask for it to come back. You cannot say, hey, I made my payment yesterday and I've had so many things happen. I have to have $50. Can you give that to me? And they'll be like, no, you just refinanced it. Remember, we can't do that. So that's why it's closed. These lines of credit are revolving, meaning that if you put in $500, $2,000, whatever you want to put in, you're going to be able to pull it right back out the same day, the next day, and use it again. This is what makes some gurus out there who are telling us you need to go get a second job and you need to throw all of your extra money into your loans, you loser, you need to pay them off. I think you know who I'm talking about. You're just stupid. If you hadn't got in that debt in the first place, you wouldn't be where you're at today. You need to go hungry. You need to go on a starvation diet and starve your kids and put all the money into your loans, right? We know who this is. So when you have the open-ended line of credit, then if you put in $2,000, you're not going to panic because it's in here to use again. Okay, so if I get paid today and I make $1,000, I can put it into this line of credit. Okay. Now, what that did was it dropped my payment, my balance. So my balance is now $19,000 because I put in 1,000. But if something happens and I've just got to have $300 tomorrow, then guess what? I can withdraw it right back out. So I'll just take 300, and now my balance is 19,300, and I have $300 to do whatever I need to do with it. So I took it right back out. So income in, expenses out. All right. I hope you guys are understanding that these are two totally different tools at the bank. They sell us the loan. They want us to take the loan, but the line is what works for us. Okay. Okay. So now we're back here, and we know now that we've got a revolving line of credit for 20,000. We did this 20,000 chunk, saved us 43,000. Now we're going to find out how much interest we're going to pay because we borrowed $20,000. And let's imagine that this is a 10%. Let's just say this is a 10% line of credit at 20,000, which would be high for a HELOC right now. So let's do our math together. 20 times 10% equals $2,000. Okay. Now let's divide this by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And this is a yearly charge. Okay. This is what they would charge per year, 2,000, but they put it into months. So let's do that. See what we would actually be paying for a month of interest. $166.66. Okay. Now, let's imagine, and I'm just going to run through this quickly. I think I'm going to leave this so we know how much interest that we paid on the mortgage for 36 months. But let's just imagine for a minute that you just borrowed the $20,000 and then you just sit there letting it build interest and paying interest only onto the HELOC, the line of credit. Let's just see what that looks like. So it's $166 per month. So when your payment goes in, so 20,000 is the amount that you borrowed. $166 is your monthly payment because that's your interest only. Let's just imagine that you put your income in here, okay? So you've got your line of credit. It's got $20,000 balance. You make $5,000 per month. It doesn't matter if you're paid daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, but you're going to end up putting $5,000 in here throughout the month. When your income goes in, this amount due was satisfied. And you're just putting your income in. So the payment is satisfied, good to go. You don't owe anything else. You're just living and paying your expenses back out of this account. And let's say you let this go for 36 months. Okay. So we're going to take $166.66 times 36 months. And that's what? Hold up. Does that say $5,999.76? How could that be? This is 36 months of interest on the line of credit. Well, this was 36 months of interest on the mortgage. So if I didn't even try to pay off this $20,000 chunk I did onto the mortgage, are you telling me that compared to the mortgage interest, I would only pay this much for letting 20,000 sit for 36 months. But yet, if I let it sit in the mortgage, I'm going to be paying, let's just do the math, 5999.76 and then 43,100. You mean I paid $37,100 more because I was unlearned and didn't understand that if I would have just taken this $20,000 chunk out of a line, saved myself 3 years on my mortgage and $43,100 in interest, that I would have only paid $5,999, $6,000? It makes your stomach hurt, doesn't it? It makes you sick, doesn't it? So, that's not the way we play, though. We don't play that we get $20,000 and just let it sit. No, no, no. The idea of velocity banking is that you are getting out of debt. We want to do more than one $20,000 chunk onto our mortgage. We want to get that sucker paid off. So if you have the $20,000 line of credit now that you chunked onto your mortgage that we've been showing, and you make $5,000, whether, like I said, whenever you're paid, you transfer the money into the line. These lines look like this. You'll have a checking account, and then you have your line of credit, or maybe it's even a credit card with a credit union or a bank. Credit unions in your area usually work best with you. These can be linked at your bank, okay? So if I have a $500 car payment coming into the bank where I paid my car payment, I can transfer $500 out of this limit here, take this back down to zero, and now I have a $500 limit or a balance over here. So you can transfer your income in or pull your payment back out, whatever you need, whatever. I usually charge everything on a credit card throughout the month, and then I'll come in and grab all of this amount, whether it be, 500 or 5,000, whatever I need, I'll take it out of my line of credit. And that is going to cover the amount I spent on the credit card for the month. Now, you may not be there yet, but you're going to get there because we are getting you out of debt. You're learning things that if you'll keep watching these videos, it will make sense. So this is the way it works. The LOC or the checking account will be linked. Sometimes it's a credit card, and you can transfer cash out of it when you need cash in your checking. All right, I hope that made sense. Let's go back up here. So you have $4,000 in monthly expenses that you have to pay. So the $5,000 of your income goes into the line. You're at about $15,000 on the balance, but you've got to pay your $4,000 in expenses, and that's your rent, that's your house payment, that's your food, your gas, car insurance, whatever. It's going to be back up to $19,000 by the time you charge everything out at the end of the month. And then you're going to have that interest. Remember what it was? $166.66, right? So $19,166.66. Now this was your interest. I'm getting this all confused, but I wanted you to realize what the interest difference in using the 10% over the 4% mortgage. Remember, this was 4%. If you are just coming into the live, go watch the beginning of this live on YouTube, okay? Because you've got to understand how we came up with these numbers. Now, let's do month 2. I'm going to move this over a little bit so I have room. Remind us that this was 36 months at 4% interest on the mortgage was $43,100 interest only. Okay. Now, month 2, $5,000 goes in throughout the month again in income. Okay, so we're at 14,166.66. Let's add in our expenses again that we're going to have to pay, all of our bills. So these are expenses. So you're at 18,166.66. Now we've got to calculate what our interest is going to look like at 10% on this account. So the way the bank does it, it's the average daily balance. Okay, so if you have a balance at a high of 19,166, then you have a low where your income went in of 14,166. They're going to average this, okay? So with this average, let's just do the numbers, 19,166 and 14,166 divided by 2. That means 16,666 would be your average daily balance. We're going to take that times 10% because we're going to find out what our interest is again. And then we're going to divide that by 12. So our interest for month 2 would be about $139. So 139. Okay. So we're at 18,305.66 in month 2. Okay, starting month 3, we're going to do the 5,000 in again. That means we're going to be at 13,305. So if you notice, we started at 20 in month 1. We're going up and down because income's going in, expenses are coming back out, the interest is going to be charged on the statement. Your income went in. That's what satisfied any payment due on this account. All right, month 2 did the same thing. Income in, expenses out. Your interest was charged. Now you're at 18,305.66. So let's just kind of quickly calculate what we're looking at for a payoff on this account. So if you have, I'm going to save this still because we're going to use that again. The interest high was 166.66, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So your average interest, let's just say that it's the high. Let's just say they're going to charge us $166 every single month until we pay this thing off. How long is it going to take us to pay it off? Well, take your 5,000 income and you're going to subtract the 4,000 plus the 166 because that's your expenses and interest. So 4,166, and we'll leave the change off. So let's just get some numbers. That's $834. So that means that $834 would be going to this 20,000 to pay it off every single month. So if you do the math, 20,000 divided by 834, that's 24 months. Is that right? Yeah, 24 months. So this account would be paid off in 24 months. Okay. If you did it at the high interest, you're not going to pay the high. You're going to average about $83, $85 a month. But we did it at the high to leave room for error. Now the 24 months. So let's take 24 times 166.66. That's $3,999.84. So actually, we're going to pay $3,999.84 in interest over a 24-month period, because this is going to be paid off in 24 months. Now, this is a worst case scenario. I deal with people every single day that you are paying this off, these lines of credit, every 4 to 6 months, and you're able to do another chunk onto your loan, whether that be a mortgage, car, whatever. So the point being that if you just did one chunk, you saved 36 months 36 months on your mortgage, your home. So instead of a 30-year, you went to a 27-year payoff with one $20,000 chunk. You literally paid this off doing nothing, income in, expenses out. You paid a total of $3,999.84 in interest only on this $20,000. Whereas if you would have left it in the mortgage, you would have paid $43,100 in interest only at a 4% mortgage rate. This $4,000 here was at a 10%. 10% interest rate on a $20,000 line of credit. And you beat it by thousands, almost $40,000, $39,000. You saved $39,000 because why? Because you knew and learned how to use the bank's tools. It's literally that simple. You learn how to use the bank's tools and you're going to get out of debt. You're going to. I hope that that makes sense. I hope that you all are understanding. It is that simple. It's so simple that it's fun, and I want you all to have fun figuring out ways to get out of debt, because once you learn how to use the tools, once you get your mindset off of I gotta make payments, I gotta make payments, I gotta make payments. No, you don't. You need to learn how to use the line of credit to make chunks. Imagine if this was a car loan. For you guys sitting with a $20,000 car loan right now, and pretend that it's 3%. I know that meant you got it 2 or 3 years ago. Imagine it is 3%. Figure out what it's going to look like for you if you were to pay it into a line of credit and pay that sucker off. Okay, wait, did I just hear somebody say my payment is about $534 a month? Okay, so when you pay your balance into a line of credit, what happened to the payment that you had on the loan for your car loan? What happened to it? It was paid off. So now if you're paying $534 in monthly payments on a car, you take the balance and transfer into a line, the monthly payment's gone. You saw what the interest was here. It's a whole lot less than $534, isn't it? And what if you have 3 or 4 or 5 years left on that car? How long is it going to take you to pay this off? Well, according to the math we just did, 24 months. 24 months is a whole lot faster and a whole lot less interest than you're probably paying on a car. The actual interest here for 24 months is going to be $2,040. So you're not going to pay this. If you're doing velocity banking, you're going to pay about $2,040 in interest only, compared to $43,000 that the bank was getting ready to take you with in that mortgage, and you were going to let them? No payments? No payments because your income's going in and it's satisfying the payment. So that $534 that you were making in a car payment even is gone. That's cash flow now. What does that mean here? Okay, add 534 to 834 because that's your cash flow here. 1368 plus 534. This was your car payment that's now gone, equals 1368 cash flow. Okay. All right. Now take 20,000 and divide it by 1368. That's 14 and a half months, 15 months max. Okay. So you just went from whatever you have left on your car payment to about 15 months, a little over a year. And you have what? 3, 4, 5 years left on that car? I'm telling you, you're going to get out of debt when you study, just like we were talking about at the very first of this live. You've got to change your mindset. You've got to ask what it is you want, and then you have got to start studying to figure out what you need in your situation. We do free. Like the free analysis for Money Max, that's free. You don't have to pay to learn how that's going to look for you. The first lien HELOCs, free consultation to know if that's going to work for you or not. So the point is to get educated and learn what options you have. That's all I want you to do, is get educated. This channel will teach you everything you need to know. I have links in the description. If you would like to get one of these analysis, you can schedule your own appointment through the links. If you go through my team, they know what I do, and the links are in the description. Okay. So the point being is that you just need to get educated. That's the only thing that's going on with your finances right now. Remember, we're having the September the 1st. We're calling it the Labor Day Financial Rally. It's the VANNtastic. We're literally bringing everybody that I know and that works with me and has helped me set up my own products, my own stuff, my infinite banking concept, any trust you need set up, any LLCs you need set up, any dream that you have for work. You can listen to these speakers on what they're talking about on September the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. It's going to be awesome. It was in January. It was awesome. We're going to do it again. They're recorded. So if you miss any of the sessions, you are going to be able to watch the recording. I mean, it's going to be exciting. I'm going to have my personal high performance coach there. Super excited about that. Of course, Alex Alburn's going to be there. Chris Ogle's going to be there. It's going to be great. I hope you can join us. I am keeping it super, super low. This year, we brought it down almost $200, so it's going to be $89 to get in to that. You're welcome it's a 3-day. I'm calling it the conference because that's exactly what it's going to be. We're going to have so much information there. You're going to get all of the information that you need to get your finances in order, to ask questions even. Some of the speakers, most of them do a Q&A after they get done talking. So I'm putting that link in here so that you can go ahead and register for the financial mastery, where all of these speakers are going to come together, and it is going to be an awesome time. So I hope you'll join us. I have been on here for what, 88 minutes? Oh, I just wanted to give a rundown. I wanted to talk about your mindset. I wanted to let you know you need to be encouraged. I wanted to tell you about it works if you're looking for something to read. There's all kinds of ways that you can study for self-improvement, get your mind right, get excited about life again, stop worrying about the little stuff, and let's get into getting out of this crap debt so that we can do something besides stress out every day over money. Okay? That's all I want for you. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do. I want to hear your testimonies, and you guys do write in a lot. I love to hear from you. So I'm excited that you do that. So I just want you to know that you're going to get out of debt. You've just got to get educated a little bit and then start moving. And I mean, as early as by the end of this week, you could be set up and ready to run. That's what I want for you. The struggle has to be over. You have to come to that point to where, like I said in the live I did earlier today, that Scarlett O'Hara moment when enough is enough and you are not going to take it anymore. You're not going to take it. You're done. You're going to figure your way out of this. When you get there, that's when the teacher arrives, right? When the student's ready, the teacher will arrive. And that may be why you have happened upon this channel. And if it is, watch the videos. You don't need to pay the gurus. Watch the videos, okay? I'll be glad to help you if I can, but everything you need to know is in the videos. And I'm excited to share. All right, I am going to jump off of here. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. It is super late for, well, it's not super late. It's 8:36 in East Tennessee. And I'm a late nighter, so it's not really late at all to me. So some of you guys might be in the bed already. Not sure. But regardless, I hope you have a great day tomorrow. I hope you get excited. I want you to get excited. I want you to be so excited that you can't wait to wake up in the morning and get into searching out what you need to do for your strategy, because you're going to get out of debt. You're going to get out of debt, and I'm so excited for you. So have a good night, and I will see you in the next video.